despite the Germanic name. And he was fired when he was 55, which sucks, right? And then he tried to get another job and everyone said, you're too old, man. We're not going to hire you. So he wanted to figure out a way to just supplement his pension, his retirement income. And he did. And he joined us in December. January, started trading with us with a small account, which is what we always recommend, just $4,000. He made $1,400 just on that $4,000 in the first month of trading. So let me know, what would you do if you made, 30% extra? I'm not promising you that, but if you made that $1,400, what would you do with the money? Put it in the chat. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see what would you do with it. Or Armand here, who's in Belgium, export manager with a 10K portfolio, which is sort of where I think it starts to become fun. First month trading, he makes $1,182. So again, what would you do with the $1,182? What would you do with it? Let me know in the chat. I'd love to see it. Stacy, 55, too old. I know, good grief. Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? I mean, halfway through his life, that's the way I see it. Okay, some of you guys would reinvest it, says Lloyd. Brandon, reinvest. Elizabeth, invest more. Keep investing. Amir, you want to donate half of it. Okay, you're a very kind soul. I like that. Pay the medical bills, says Jill. So everybody's got a little bit of a different motivation, right? And that's important to realize, like, you are unique. Okay, let me ask you a few more questions, and I'm going to try and ask you a few things to make this a little bit more engaging. What does that number mean to you? 17,000. What does that mean to you? Is that anything? That's no right or wrong answers here. Some of you would reinvest it, invest in my kids. You're a nice dad, David. Pay for my parents' care, Michelle. Well, lovely daughter. Into the travel fund, Stacy. I can associate with that. Sam says 17,000 treats for Winston. You would definitely like that. He now gets fish heads, which he really, really likes. 5 months of rent, just a number. Cash, monthly income. Okay, all right. Let me tell you what it is. It's the number of days you got left to live if you're 30 years old. Now, I just turned 44, so I've got less days left to live, but I'm not putting that number here to scare you. It's the next number that's going to scare you. And if you work full-time and you take 1 month vacation a year, and I appreciate if you're in the US, very few people actually take a whole month vacation a year. You have less than 1,500 days of freedom left in your lifetime. And run that through a calculator. I did, because I couldn't believe it, but I did. And it's true. And that's why I'm putting it in here as a little bit of a wake-up call. You are meant to have the full 17,000 days of freedom left, which is control, agency over every day of your life, not just 1,500. So if you're willing to put aside 3 to 5 hours a week now to get all of those days of freedom, let me know in the chat, right? Yes, in the chat. Okay, I'd like to see it. I want to see it. Stacy, oh geez, no, it's not. It's meant to encourage you, Stacy, not to frighten you. Eric just turned 45. He's got even less days left than me. Okay, Robert's the first with a yes. Cyril, yes. Okay, the yeses are rolling in. Remco, you're 79. Brilliant, fantastic. You're in the right place, my friend. There's a lot of yeses rolling in here. Love to see it. Love to see it. Keep them coming. Now, who's going to benefit from this training? And I put this at the top because I want to be respectful of your time. If this isn't for you, you may exit. Well, if you're a beginner and you've got zero prior knowledge, you never had a brokerage account, don't know anything about investing or trading, this is for you. There will be parts to this that don't make sense 100% on the first reading. That is normal. I will show you how you can learn and practice after this, so it makes 100% sense. If I made this so simple that you would just be like, yeah, that's completely clear, easy, then I wouldn't be delivering you very much value. So I want to push you a little bit, not to a super uncomfortable level, but to a level where it's a little bit challenging, so you actually get a ton out of this. So don't be discouraged. We're going to run through everything a couple of times, and it'll become clearer, and you can also ask me questions. And don't be shy. If you have a regular 9-to-5 job, you're busy with that, but you can squeeze in a bit of time, morning, evening, lunchtime, FaceTime, all that kind of stuff, or maybe on the weekends. And again, this is for you because you want to build in a little bit more extra income so you could maybe quit that job at some point. You don't have to, but maybe you could. If you're a business owner, you got a bit more free time, at least control of your time already, but you probably have some customers you hate. I used to have customers I hated, and I got rid of them. And life was a lot better. How could I do that? I had other income streams that I built up through trading, which meant I had more freedom, more choice, and actually the business got better because of it. And if you're freshly retired, we have a lot of you at all ages. You want to learn a new skill that's fulfilling, maybe also brings in some money that you could maybe teach the children or the grandchildren or, whatever. Again, this is for you. And if you're a student, I know you got time. I know you got a phone. The question is, do you have some money? So you do need some money to trade with. In an ideal situation, that would be $10,000 plus. If it's a little bit less, I'll show you some examples in a moment of people who are doing it with less. Now, who is this not for? And this is equally important. If you want to get rich by Friday, right? It's Tuesday evening today, New York time, and trading is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And when I'll show you the system and the actual trades and the actual numbers, that'll start to make sense. So if you want to get rich by Friday, buy a meme coin, knock yourself out. No, not seriously. You just have to develop a little bit of patience. And if you don't want to put in any capital, again, this isn't going to work because you need some money to make money from. So maybe you need to focus a little bit more on working, unfortunately, a little harder and making money to have some capital if you don't have any yet. And in an ideal world, you'd spend an hour a day learning. Don't actually have to trade. I trade maybe 2 hours a week or something, 3 hours a week. But to learn takes a little bit more effort. Now, most people don't have the perfect hour every day. I get that. Most people come to us because they're busy. So squeeze in a bit of time in the morning as you're driving to work. Do a bit on a Sunday. Do it in the evening or at lunchtime or whatever. It's all good. It doesn't have to be the perfect hour. I'm just saying in an ideal world, that would be what gets you there the fastest. Okay. So anyone here traded before? Okay, brilliant. Anyone who traded before, let me know. Okay, so let me walk you through just a little bit about how I got into this, because I think it'll be important for context and to help you understand what we can do with this. So I live between my homes in London, where I'm usually sort of summerish. I was just there, south of France. I was there in May, heading back there in 2 or 3 months. And then I'm in Hong Kong quite a lot, which is where I am right now, because it's subtropical. It's lovely. It's got beaches. It's got mountains. It's sort of like Manhattan in Florida. That's basically it, with zero crime and lovely people. And life wasn't like that. I wasn't sort of jetting around all the time, enjoying myself with Winston and everything. When I started out as an investor, I was truly, truly horrific. So I made my first spot of money in 1999. I was working for a .com company back then, a German .com company. I'm born in Hamburg in Germany. And I saved like $10,000 and I took it to my regional bank where I'd been banking since I was like 6 years old or something. I had Goofy on my savings book. And the manager had known me all my life. And I said, Mr. Manager, I saved some money. I'd like to invest it. And he said, well done, son. And he sat me down in a little conference room. I got a cup of coffee, which made me feel very grown up and special. And he showed me these brochures of all these funds they had. And they all had charts on them that were going up a lot, which is sort of the sales trick of the banks. And I picked, which was the flavor of the month in 1999, which was biotech, which is going to revolutionize the world. So I put all my money into this fund. Fast forward a year after I'd left the branch, my little brochure, felt really good about myself. I'm an investor, I make money, brilliant. A year later, the market tanks. My biotech fund is down a half. Down 50%, which I'm sure many of you have experienced. That kind of sucks, right? Doesn't feel very, very good. So I sold because I was panicked and I didn't know what the heck I'd bought. I didn't know any of the companies, never heard of any of them. So I was sitting in my room and I was digging up that brochure from the bookshelf and I wanted to throw it away. I was really pissed off about what I'd just done there. And as I was about to throw it away, I glanced at this brochure and it said, you paid an in fee of 5% to buy the fund. You paid 2.5% annual maintenance fee and a few miscellaneous fees. And it the penny sort of dropped that I took all the risk. I lost 50% of my money. The bank took zero risk and made 8%. Zero risk, 8%. That's a pretty good offer. And I realized this lovely bank manager who'd known me since I was a child just sold me whatever got him the highest fee. And I thought, well, look, investing is for suckers. I'm never going to do that again. I was done with this. I'm just like, put the money in a sock. That was really where I was in 2000. And then I became an investment banker, as you do. And that's a completely random thing, honestly. That wasn't planned. I was visiting Hong Kong for the first time. And I loved the city. I've been here like 2 weeks. And I was running out of cash because it's a pretty expensive place. It's probably more expensive than Manhattan, I would think. And I wanted to get a job. So I sent out like 100 CVs to everybody and nobody was interested. Why? As a fresh graduate, never worked anywhere really, couldn't speak the language. Surprise, surprise, right? So why the heck would they want to, hire me? So yeah, Simon and Ron got fleeced by the bankers. Now I'm trying to become one, right? And I was at a little gathering, friend of a friend, and he had this beautiful apartment overlooking Hong Kong Harbor, and we were watching the fireworks from this spectacular apartment. You could see the whole city. It was amazing. I was like, this is the life. His kitchen, there was only one thing in the kitchen and in the fridge, and that was champagne. No food whatsoever, just champagne. And this guy was a banker, obviously. So I got chatting with him and he said, well, what do you do? And I said, I'm looking for a job, actually. And he said, well, what can you do? And I said, well, I've got an economics degree. I thought that meant something. I thought that felt, it was a special thing. It's not. It doesn't help. But he said, well, one of my colleagues is looking for a junior. Why don't you send me your CV? And I did. And I got an interview, which I was surprised about, quite frankly, zero experience. And this guy interviews me and he was very nice. He was very friendly. And then he sent me to down the corridor, second door on the right. That was his boss's office. I knocked on the door, walked in, and he sort of interrogated me a little bit more harshly, but it was still all right. And then he said, well, down the corridor, last office on the right, corner office, knock on there. And I was like, corner office, I'm not sure that sounds good. And that was the real boss. And he was pretty icy, to put it politely, and put me through the ringer. And then once he spit me out again, he said, well, just hang around and the guys might want to have a chat with you. So the whole team could then torture me individually as they wanted to. And that's sort of the rite of passage if you want to enter a bank. I think it's still the same. But anyway, long story short, a week later, it offered me a job. And I panic bought a cheap suit over the weekend because I didn't have one. I was sort of like just shorts and polo shirts. And I walked onto a trading floor of a major investment bank. And as I walked onto that floor, picture the same thing you see in movies, right? Open plan. Everyone's got between 3 and 6 screens, colorful Bloomberg keyboards. Everyone's on the phone and everyone's shouting and waving things. Pretty much exactly how it was. And I was like, this is mad. So I sat down like right in the middle of this trading floor. My boss was next to me. And I got the hang of what was going on. There were bond traders on my left. There was risk management behind me. There were guys selling stocks, like, equity sales opposite me. There was analysts were around the corner. And it was just sort of this noisy pit of people shouting at things. And my job was to find trading ideas. So I built out lots of spreadsheets and data and did all sorts of research. And we come up with trading ideas every day and we give them to the sales guys who were sitting literally behind my screens. And they would then call the big funds like JF, like JP Morgan Fund, those kind of guys, and say, hey, we got an idea and, we think it's amazing. Do you want in? And then if they said yes, they would use our brokerage team to execute the trades. And that's how we'd make money. That was kind of the idea. And a lot of technical information, which was really, really good. But actually what was much, much more important than the tech skills that I learned from it, although they are coming in useful, and I'm going to teach you, the key stuff here in a moment. It was the mindset shift. So I come from a family, my parents never went to college. They wanted me and my brother to go to college because they thought that meant something. They wanted us to go work for big companies because they never had. And we did that obligingly. And my parents basically taught me, work hard, save some money, give it to the bank to invest, and then they'll hopefully make 8% for you a year before tax. That was the mindset I was in. And they're still in that mindset, bizarrely. I've tried. And the guys I was meeting in this bank, who were all, shouting around me, they were kept saying, "Oh yeah, it's been a good year, up 110%. Yeah, it's been a good year, up 100%." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, 100%? What are you talking about? How's that possible?" And at the beginning, I thought they were bragging, but then we hung out a lot. There were lunches and dinners and drinks, and every day. I know it was tough, very, very tough. But they were telling the truth. So I started to embrace being a banker. I got myself shirts with white collars. That's how you fit in. I got myself Prada sunglasses. That's required. And you look like a twit. Yes, I realized that, but it was the uniform, basically. And I just thought, I'm going to be here and I'm going to learn how these guys make returns that are 10, 15 times bigger than what I think is possible. Because clearly the 99% in the world haven't got a freaking idea. And there are a few hundred people in these trading floors on banks who seem to know stuff that nobody else knows. And I'm not promising you 100% trading returns, by the way. That's not what the story is about. So I just decided to become a sponge and sit there and learn and absorb. And that's what I did. And then, well, I wanted to quit. Why did I want to quit? Because a twit, Roxanne, yes, that was a polite way of putting it. What rhymes with banker? That's what we call the bankers. So it starts with a W and rhymes with banker. And that's a compliment, by the way. They quite like it. And nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So why did I want to leave when it was so good? Well, 7 a.m. morning meeting. I don't like getting up at 6. I really don't. And I was there from 7 till 7. And then we'd inevitably go out for dinner and drinks. And that sounds glamorous and it's fun for a while, but I was just really, really tired. I was just always tired. And the more senior guys, when they weren't going out, they would go to bed at 8 p.m. I know, sexy life, right? So I was just like, I don't really want to do that. I actually want to enjoy myself. So I said to my boss, look, I love this. It's been really amazing. I've learned so much. Thank you, but I'm gonna leave. And he said, hang on a moment, give me a couple of hours. Let's have a coffee this afternoon and we'll chat about it. And we did. And he was very kind and we did have that coffee. And he said, look, talk to the higher ups. We're going to get you a real bonus, which is 6 figures. I'd never seen 6 figures before in my life in my bank account. And we're going to double my salary. So I was like, okay, I'm sold, right? And then he said the fatal sentence, which was this: it's just been noticed by the higher ups that you leave quite early. And I said, I'm here from 7 till 7. And he said, yeah, I know, but you can't really be seen to be leaving before 8:30. And I looked at him and I said, but I get my work done in probably 6 hours a day, right? And he said, yes. So I'd work intensely for 6 hours a day, mostly on spreadsheets and data and trading ideas. And then the other 6, I would look busy, read things, get coffee, try to stay awake. And they wanted me to not just do 12 hours for a 6-hour workday, but 13 and a half hours for a 6-hour effective workday to show them that I cared and really wanted to be there. And I thought, if I do that, I'm giving up my entire life for money. And I wasn't ready to do that. So I didn't. I left. So I started a business trading wine and chemicals. And I forgot about investing money. Why? Because I was busy, right? I was like a one-man business. I was doing everything from buying stationery to cold calling to meeting customers and everything else. I was like, I haven't got time to invest. I haven't got time for money. I will do that in 2 years once this business is grown a lot. And if you only take away one thing today, don't ever put investing off. Start today. Seriously. It's the most important thing. Time is the most important thing. So that was a huge mistake. And well, then fast forward a little bit in 2013, I was working really, really hard. I was traveling every week. I was signing little deals and I was feeling stiff. My back was aching, sitting all that time, hunched over a desk. And I was in my little apartment in Hong Kong. It's a Tuesday morning, and I stood up to sort of stretch. And as I stretched, I collapsed onto the floor, literally hit the floor. And I was lying there, and I was in absolute agony. My girlfriend ran in because she heard this noise I've been making. I tried to help me up, couldn't, because I couldn't even get into a crawl. I was just flat on the floor, and I was in so much freaking pain, I couldn't move. So she calls an ambulance. About an hour later, I'm in a hospital bed with a drip in my arm with some sort of painkiller running in there, which was making me feel very woozy. And I was pretty freaked out. Why? Because I couldn't feel my toes, and I wasn't sure I could actually move my legs. Now, it's 33 years old. It's not really what you expect in life, right? I was like, what the heck? Am I freaking paralyzed here? Like, what is going on? So I was pretty freaked out. And half an hour later, this guy walks into the room, little blue blazer, gold button, steps towards my bed and just says, I've got you booked in for 10:30 in the morning. And I ask, obviously, for what? And he says, I'm your spinal surgeon, and I've got you booked in for spinal surgery. Now I was really freaked out because surgery, I don't like it. Spinal surgery does not sound like something I want to be doing, especially not without any explanation. So I just asked him, isn't there something else I'm not really a fan of knives and so on. And he just said this to me, and I'll always remember this. He said, do you have children? And I said, no. He said, do you want to have children? And I said, maybe. And he said, well, if you ever want to be able to pick up your own child, you have to have this surgery tomorrow. Which is a real punch in the stomach. And at the same time, I thought, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, because that's a nasty sales pitch, isn't it, from a doctor, which is apparently quite common. I've got a lovely mentee of mine who is a very famous US spinal surgeon, and he says he's heard much worse lines than that on the bedside. So I said no. So he huffed off and sent me a physio. So I spent a little bit of time in that hospital bed doing physio, and it sort of changed everything because I couldn't work. I couldn't travel. I couldn't pick up a bag. I couldn't sit. I could never sit in a plane. None of the things I needed to do were possible. I now had $50,000 in medical bills. Thank you very much. And I was in constant pain. I was just in agony. And I had to figure out a way to make money. So this was me, 2013. That's Tallulah. You see her sometimes on the channel. She loved that. So I'd lie on this Thai mat or in bed, knees bent, laptop on my thighs, and I tried to get some work done, which just wasn't working because my business required me to be one-on-one with people. That's how it worked. It just didn't really function. So I talked to some of my old banking buddies, explained my predicament, and they felt sorry for me. And they said, well, why don't you trade, man? Why don't you tweak what we do to fit your tiny portfolio? 5 figures to them was like a, breakfast. Seriously, the amount of money we used to spend on dinners and stuff, or the bank did. I didn't. They'd spend 5 figures on a dinner. Easy, crazy stuff. So the idea was to create a trading protocol that was tweaked from what the bank was doing that would remove emotions, because I know that emotions are very much your enemy. Now, the goal was basically this: create a system, a protocol that I could actually trust every day. Now, you might think, okay, Felix, you're a trader. You enjoy the ups and downs of the market. I don't. I hate losing money. Really, really do. Like casino, for example, never walk into it. I lived in Monaco for about 1.5 years last year, the year before. There was a beautiful casino there that all the royalty in the world have been in or something. Never went in it. I'm no interest in losing $10. So I really, really don't enjoy it because there is an emotional response when you lose money, right? I don't like it. I don't even like to make a lot of money on a trade. And I tell you why, because again, it creates an emotional response. Particularly back then, I just wanted predictable income, right? Pay rent. That was the goal. So in that first 9 months, flying literally horizontal with Tallulah, I made some money. I lost some money, made some money, and then guess what? I lost some money. And some of you guys who've traded before, you probably have gone through this, right? Some of you will resonate with this. So I, however, had a huge advantage over you. And that is I could call somebody. I could call a friend who actually knew what the heck he was doing. And it's those guys I call my mentors, who were investment bankers, hedge fund guys. And it's a bit of a grand title, mentor. It was like a 2-line message on a BlackBerry Messenger. We still had those back then. They were amazing. Or literally a 1-minute phone call. And it would always go like this. I'd say, hey, I just did this trade. This was the strategy. I lost X. Didn't work out the way I thought. What did I do wrong? How can I improve this? And they would give me a little bit of input. And with that little bit of input, I kept tweaking the strategy. And I did this for, like 9 months, basically. And that is actually how I built my trading protocol. It was trial and error. It was pain and more pain, the occasional win. And over time, I got more consistent because I got more and more input. I understand more and more and more. And at the end of that pretty unpleasant period, I got these insane results. And I basically figured out how to make consistent profits in a couple of hours a week. And I know it sounds too good to be true, but I'll show it to you. That's the point of today. Okay. I'll teach it to you. All I got to do is follow my rules. That's literally all I got to do. And so how did I get here? Okay. We've got written rules. That's super important. They actually work, and I apply them week after week. So I got to consistent profits. I could pay my medical bill. I felt a heck of a lot better. And I felt more relaxed than any of you who got back pain, especially the men. We normally have back pain. It's 70% emotions and 30% of sitting on your butt. So exercise every day and figure out a way to get those stress levels down. Meditation, EFT, whatever you need to do. Running, whatever you need to do. But I felt more relaxed because, I now had an extra income stream. So I was happy. And I started other businesses. And you might think, okay, you don't really learn much, do you, from your experiences, Felix? Surely business number 1 wasn't a great idea. Well, see, the thing is, I traded only a few hours a week. I still do, like 2-3 hours a week. And I'll show you the exact trades I've been doing the last couple of months in a moment. And I wanted to do something. I'm somebody who doesn't really work well with not doing anything. So I start these businesses and we travel the world. We have an amazing time. We'd fly to Singapore to meet for a meeting, and then we do a week in Bali. And the whole thing was a tax-deductible trip. Or go to Tokyo and then 2 weeks skiing. And that was sort of the life. It was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Life was very, very good. And then COVID came, right? Travel was over, sitting at home, feeling a little bit miserable. And my home is very nice. Back then, we had 3 full-time housekeepers who lived with us. We were amazing, still are amazing, and very pleasant. Like I wake up to the smell of freshly baked bread. And like it's a silly way to live, really, but it's like I like 5-star hotels. Home is better. Okay, that's kind of the idea. Like there's breakfast served on a silver platter in the morning. I'm not kidding you. And I'm very well looked after, but I was still satisfied. Why? Because I don't do well with too much time. It's just not the way I'm wired. When I quit my corporate job, I took 6 weeks off and I thought, it's amazing. I was going to sit on the beach, go to the pool, enjoy myself. After 4 weeks, I was crawling up the walls. I just need to do things. I'm not somebody who can just chill. If you can, you're probably better off than me. So what was I doing? I was watching YouTube videos, probably like you are, on like finance stuff. And I thought this is very entertaining. And I like this. But is this really going to get people to freedom? Is this really going to get people to a point where they know how to invest and where they can quit those salary slave jobs and escape the cubicle? And I thought, no. So I thought, well, this was 18th of December, 3 years ago. I thought, well, why don't I give it 12 days to the end of the year and just make a video a day and see if people are interested in actually understanding how the market works, and see if I could use this medium to teach people what I learned, so that we bridge this insane inequality of like a few hundred people that know everything and the rest of the world hasn't got a freaking idea. That was very much the goal. So I know how powerful trading knowledge is because it's changed my life. And I will always remember how I got screwed by the banker who'd known me since I was a child, right? Imagine how bankers treat you if they haven't known you since you were a child. So to me, COVID was kind of a gift. I appreciate to a lot of people it was quite the opposite. I'm an introvert, right? I don't talk to people I don't know and any of that. And you put me in front of a camera, it seemed like a very strange idea. All my friends laughed at me, seriously. They didn't actually laugh. They just went silent. It's like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Really? You? That was the universal response I got. It's nice having friends. So what we've done over the last few years, we've built a team, an academy, community of thousands of people. We're helping to get to financial freedom. And I love it because I know we provide 10 times the value of the best colleges in the world. And then that's a cliche thing to say, but this is why and how. Our mentors are all Wall Street goats. They're guys who've managed billions of dollars for investment banks and hedge funds. They're guys who've gone to the best colleges in the world, and they'll tell you that that isn't very useful other than to get a job with the big banks. And those colleges charge $85K a year, right? You leave in debt unless the bank of mom and dad bails you out. And then we've got students of ours like Jerome, trades and makes $4,224 in a week and writes an absolutely amazing week for me, right? O'Reilly, first day trading ever, she makes $206 in one day. That's life-changing, that experience, right? Because you can see what's possible suddenly, but I'm not going to bore you to death with testimonials here. I know you're here to learn. So let's get into the 3-step trading system. And quoting myself is a little cheesy, but essentially, emotions are your enemy when you're trading and when you're investing, right? Doesn't feel good when things are down, right? So we got to do something about that. So it's all about the rules. Imagine your profit potential if you knew exactly what trade to open and when, and if you could automate the profit taking and the risk management. That's what we've done. So shall we get into it? I think we probably should, right? So here is Winston in a forest in France, just north of Monaco somewhere. Rule number 1, and you might want to take notes or take screenshots or so on. We're going to run through the system here, and then we're going to apply it to an actual trade so it makes a lot more sense. Okay, so bear with me if first round doesn't make 100% sense for those of you who are completely new to trading or investing. We trade the S&P 500. Ticker symbol is SPY, S-P-Y. Why? Well, it's an average of 500 companies, which means it's not going to drop 20% like an individual company. So say Tesla yesterday went up 10%, right? The S&P is not going to go up 10% in a day. It's not going to happen because it's 500 companies. They're not all going to move together. So it gives us more predictability. It's also insanely liquid, which is great because it's easier to trade and get in and out of positions. But the real benefit is this. You don't have to study dozens of companies. You don't have to follow their Twitter accounts. You don't have to read the earnings reports because let's face it, most people don't care. You just want to make money. You don't really want to become an expert at every company, like, because then you're just creating another job, right? That's not what you want. So we don't need to know any of that. And you might wonder, what is the S&P 500? I try not to assume anything. So it's an index that tracks the average price of the largest 500 American companies that are profitable. So there is some filtration there. They're the largest. They must be half decent, and they're going to be profitable, so they're not terrible. So it's a bit of a quality assessment as well. And the ticker we trade is SPY, which is what we're going to type into our broker in just a moment together. Here is Winston in Italy, actually, on another lovely mountain along the French border. And let's get into risk management. That's what it's all about. It's all about risk management. The first step is make your trade small. So each trade we do is, say, 5% of your portfolio. And we use the same size because it reduces our risk. It keeps us calm because losses and wins will always be small, which means you don't get that emotional trigger, right? You lose $100, okay. Doesn't really make that much of a difference. Make $100, you're like, that's nice. You lose $10,000, now you're upset, right? You make $10,000, you're throwing a party. We don't want that. We just want, like, a pretty flat line. So no more scary losses, no more frustrations is the point of the 5% rule. So say your portfolio is $30,000 and you use 5% per trade. Well, then each trade you open is $1,500 in size. $1,500 on 30K is 5%. Okay, just to make it a little bit clearer. Risk management part 2. And if you can see that little antenna on Winston's head, that's risk management, right? So I was hiking in France with him. It was a lovely bit. We did like a whole year in Europe with Winston, which was really fun. And I met this chap on a mountain, and he said, oh, in French, have you seen my dog? And he showed me a picture of this beautiful black and white sheepdog. And I said, man, I'm sorry, when did you lose him? And you last see him? And he said, 2 days ago on this mountain. And I thought, okay, we've got to do something about that. So I ordered this hunting collar tracker, which costs like $500 US. But it's risk management, right? I can now track Winston for 10 miles with no phone signal, okay, which is good. And dogs get lost because there are people hunting. There are wild boar, there are, foxes and all sorts of things that you could chase, rabbits, and, particularly golden retrievers are fairly easily distracted. Once they go off somewhere, they might not find their way back. So risk management is insanely important. And so the first thing we do is our antenna is the stop loss at 25%. So successful traders love small losses and avoid big losses. And I was taught this by an old banker who said this to me, Felix, you need to learn to love small losses. And I was a cocky idiot. And I said, you don't understand. I'm here to make money. I'm not here to lose money. And I'd probably just watched, Wolf of Wall Street or something like that. and he just looked at me and shook his head and he said, you can learn this the hard way or the easy way. The easy way is follow this. And he was, of course, right. And I did eventually catch on to it. Why? Because taking losses is really, really hard. Right? So we automate it. And it gets over this problem. You set up a trade. Say you set up this $1,500 trade and it goes down $100. And now you're thinking, I'll wait for this to go back to zero and then I'll exit. And then it goes down to minus $300. And now you say, I'll wait for it to go back to minus 100. Then I'll exit. Now it goes down to minus $800. You're feeling a little bit worried. And you say, it'll go back to minus 500 and then I'll exit. And then it goes to minus 1,500. You're sitting at 100% loss. And now you're keeping secrets from your wife. That's how it works, ladies. So we avoid that by setting a stop loss, because losing 25% isn't going to affect you really, but losing 80% or 100% is a problem. So we remove the emotional decision-making by automating this. And we're going to walk through how we set that up in just a moment. So if your trade is $1,500, the maximum you could lose is $375. Now we can actually reduce that further with something that's called adjustments. That's maybe a little beyond what we can cover here today. But if you want, ask me about that in the Q&A. Okay, I'll gladly walk you through it. Stacy, or your husband. Okay, see, the women do it too. Of course, the women's psychology is actually slightly better. You're better at risk management, Stacy. You're a little bit less gung-ho than us. But yeah, it's true, isn't it? Okay, so let's get into profit taking. And here is Winston. Where is he? In Cap Ferrat, Saint-Jean Cap Ferrat, one of the most beautiful spots in Europe, most expensive real estate in Europe. I highly recommend you visit it. It's sort of near Nice, between Nice and Monaco. Lovely little place. And okay, how do we take profits? I call it salami tactic. You slice. We take a profit of half, or rather on the first half of the trade, excuse me, we take a 10% of the maximum profit. It's a bit abstract, isn't it? We'll get into it, into some real numbers. On the next quarter of the trade, we take 15% of the max profit. And on the last quarter of the trade, we take, say, 25% of the max profit. So if your trade is $1,500, your max profit is, say, $320, which would be about 20% of 1,500. Then If we take 10% of the max profit on the first half of the trade, that's $16. If we take on the next quarter, 15% of the max profit, that's another $12. And then on the last bit, we enjoy ourselves. We take 25% of the max profit, another $20. So we've just made $48. And I see everybody dropping off this live stream and going, Felix, you've talked at us for 45 minutes and you were saying we can make $48. What a load of nonsense. Doesn't buy lunch. It doesn't. When we were in Cannes a couple of weeks back, lunch for two was 300 euros and we didn't have any wine. So no, $48 doesn't get you very far nowadays. But hear me out. It's 3% as a return. Our trades are typically a week long, maybe even a little less. If you were to make 3% every week and you compounded that, you get to some silly numbers. And again, I'm not promising those numbers, but in the Facebook group, there is a spreadsheet if you want to run through some compounding numbers. So we aim for lots of small profits. And that's what makes us consistent and makes us a lot less risky because we're risk averse. So let's summarize this. Step one, we trade one stock, SPY, the S&P 500. Step two, each trade is the same size, say 5% in size. And three, we automate the profit taking with our salami tactic, our slice and dice approach. And we have the hard stop loss, so we're not keeping secrets from our wife, or in Stacy's case, her husband. So we then rinse and repeat, and we just follow the same system around and around and around she goes. Now, with this system, you don't need to learn the whole stock market. You don't need to learn lots of strategies, and you don't need to watch your trades, which is really important. Our goal is very simple: passive income. Right? We don't want to be the busiest trader in the world or even the greatest trader in the world. We just want simple passive income in as little time as possible. So therefore, we trade one stock, one strategy, and we automate profit taking and risk management so we can enjoy our life. And like, okay, I go hiking with Winston every day, right? We go swimming every day and all these things. So we're always hiking with a group of friends and we're literally hanging on the side of a mountain. Winston's got a lovely little harness and sometimes there's a rope attached to it and we pass him down a, side of a mountain or something. And he loves it. He absolutely loves it. He's like a goat. And as we're doing that, and we got the rope in our hands, my phone goes bing, and one of my guys says to me, Felix, don't tell me you just made money while I'm hanging here with one arm on the side of this mountain. I'm like, yeah, probably. Let me check. And there was, a trade that closed at a profit. It's the automations that make this fun. Okay. So this 3-step system has done wonders for me. It could do the same for you. There's a bonus here. Each trade we do has a 75% probability of making us money. Now, what does that mean? It'll become more clear when we do the live trade together. I'll show you on the chart exactly how that works. But what it really means is that you don't need to be right on the direction of the stock. I often set up a trade and the stock moves in the wrong direction. And that's okay because we have that buffer, that safety zone. Now, inside our program, we've got hundreds of years of experience and we spend a lot of time teaching you that experience. But it's nice to know that you can be wrong, right? Although having said that, I'd rather get the experience on people who've managed billions of dollars than just stick a thumb in the air to try to gauge direction. But now that you know the real steps on how to trade, you have two choices. And we're going to go into live trading in a moment to make this more real. And then you can, of course, ask me all the questions you want in the world. You can go away and do this yourself. And you'll probably lose some money as you learn, like I did. It's a pretty bloody expensive way to learn. You might experiment for ages and give up. Most people do because they get frustrated. And you probably feel overwhelmed because you'll watch 1,000 videos and your head gets filled with lots of wool and you just give up. And you feel stressed and you're like, oh, this is just annoying. Without an experienced mentor to hold your hand, this is a little harder than it looks. Just want to be completely honest about that. And Option two, you can get yourself an experienced mentor. So you can have a chat with my guys and find out how we've helped over 9,000 people and potentially become consistently profitable without staring at screens all day. The advantage is you learn faster. You get everything handed to you on a platter. And you can look over our shoulder as we trade live every week. Like I did a live trading session last night. A couple of hundred of my students joined in live, and others will play it back. And so lots of the team does the same. You can also have us look over your shoulder. So as you're learning, as you are practicing, as you're trading, we hop on a Zoom call with you and look through what you're doing and point out the holds and therefore make you better. If you have tech challenges, brokers suck, right? The platforms are just hideous to use. I don't want that to be something that holds you back. So we give you unlimited tech support. If you need us to jump on a call with you for 3 hours on a Zoom call to make sure that you know how to use that broker, we'll do it. If it takes 10 hours, we'll also do that. So don't be afraid of the tech side. Now you might be thinking, hang on, Felix, this trading system is so simple. It's 3 steps. It's true. But when I look back at how I got here, I would have given anything, I still would, to have been handed this on a platter. And I'll tell you why. Do you know how much money I could have made while I was figuring this out? Those 9 months where I initially crafted it and then I got better the subsequent years. So I run this small trading portfolio, and I'll show you what it's been doing the last couple of months in a moment as well. Why small? I want to encourage responsible traders trading, and so small is generally good. So we run a small portfolio. We did 126% return on capital employed in 2022, 105% in 2023, and so far this year we're up, I don't know, 40% or something. Imagine a couple of extra years of that compounded over like 10 years, right? The numbers would be staggeringly large. But for me, the most important thing is that I see my students do well and do better than me. And if you watched us on YouTube last night, they were literally, I was saying, hey, we did, I don't know, 18% in June. And the guys were posting, oh, I did 20, I did 21, I did this. And it's amazing. Again, I'm not promising you those returns, but I love it when my students do better than me. Like Apurva here, for example, he made $16,064 in 2 weeks. And look what he says. It's been a rough week, learned and applied a lot of risk management. That's what it's about. It's about risk management. Or Rosalind here. Here's a lady with a small account. So she came to us, never traded, never had a broker before. So she traded with $4,900. And in her first week of trading, she makes $448. Right? Great trading week for me last week. That's the life-changing experience that makes her want to get better at this and keep pursuing this and have this lifelong skill, right? Or Malcolm here makes $2,099 in a day. What's he say? It's paid me this so much today, blah, 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 blah. Okay, total profit was $2,276 for the day, which is cool, right? But okay, what's this actually all about? So for me, I want to make 1 million people financially free. That was my goal with this community here. And to me, financially free means something very specific. It means the ability to live off your investments and trading income. So you don't have to. You don't have to do anything drastic. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow or anything like that. But you'll then have the option to. And that's really what life is meant to be all about, right? So how are we going to do that? We're breaking the monopoly of banks on trading knowledge, because all the trading knowledge sits on trading floors, because the banks have an incentive to teach their employees, like I used to be, so that the employees make money for the bank. And therefore the boss gets a bigger bonus. That's what it's all about, right? That's where the knowledge is. It's not really in books. It's not in colleges. It's not with professors. It's with people who actually trade for big institutions. So let me show you what it looks like to work with us. And then we hop over into live trading. You join us. We jump on an onboarding call with you for an hour. You join our private community, which again, I'm super happy to show you. We help you set up your trading account. If you need help with that, you need help how to use it, we'll take care of that. In week 2, you start copying your mentors trade in simulated trading. So we learn with zero risk. You don't use any real money. It's all simulated. So it's like learning to fly. You're not just going to get on the plane, are you? That would be silly. No, you're going to go into a simulator. So we do very much the same thing. You review your progress with your mentors. And then in week 3, you probably start joining some of our group sessions. We run lots of group sessions every day. Again, I can show you that in a moment. We run interactive sessions where we pair you into little teams. It's all done on Zoom. Zoom's actually amazing. So we can put you together with 3 or 4 other students, and you get to know each other in a little private Zoom chat, which is nice because most of us in the West don't really have friends we can talk honestly about money with, right? Especially not trading, because most people don't know the first thing about it. So I think that community aspect is very important. And then, yeah, you just get better. You practice. Week 4, you might be ready to go live with trading. Maybe you need a bit longer. I always encourage you to take your time. You book as many one-on-one coaching calls as you need. I'd suggest at least 1 a week. And then in month 2, you start trading, you start taking profits regularly. And then in month 3, you continue on your trading journey. Maybe you want to go deeper. You've got more questions. You really love this. You want to like delve deeper into more strategies, or you're just happy where you are. And that's usually the end for us in terms of program. It was originally a 3-month program. Now, what we've done to celebrate 3 years of this academy is that we did something kind of crazy, and we're still doing it at the moment, although it's got to stop. And we basically give you 9 months of free coaching. Why? Because we wanted to like triple the value for like this 3-year celebration. That was the idea. And then I said in a moment of madness, why don't we quadruple it? So we did. So you literally join us for 3 months, but you get 9 months on top. So you're actually there for 12 months. And the beautiful thing with that is that the people who've been with us for more than a year, the knowledge shift, the mindset shift I see, because they've been hanging around with a bunch of investment bankers every week for a year, is so massive. The questions they ask are so different from what they were asking a year ago. And their skill set and their success is so hugely different that for me, it's very satisfying to see. So we're still doing that right now. Now, Pedro is asking how much does it cost? Okay, let's get to that. So we had 2 choices with this. Make a program that has a very low fee that everybody can access. So we get everybody to kind of this learn by yourself, become an okay trader. You just sort of learn the basics, right? Sort of like a course, and you just watch some videos and you do it on your own. And yeah, we'd reach a lot of people with that, but everybody would become kind of average. Or we could take a smaller number of people and make them into amazing traders, these sort of bright beacon champions of the trading world, that could then maybe also teach their children and their friends and kind of become these, stars. And as you can probably tell from the way I'm saying that, I decided to go down that route of actually creating amazing money managers, amazing traders. Why? Because we can either have a little impact on your life, or we can have a massive impact on your life. I'd rather have a massive impact on less people than just a little bit on a lot of people. Now, what does that mean? Well, it meant we have to hire a bunch of investment bankers and hedge fund guys, because that's where the knowledge is, and they're not entirely free. Our guys all have the heart on the right place, but still, of course, they're not entirely free. So the tuition fee is a 4-figure investment. And I'm being a little bit vague on that sum because we do have some options. So I'd encourage you to have a chat with us, and we'll walk you through exactly what those options are. But that gives you a bit of an idea, right? A bit of a framework. So if you want to have a chat with us, I'll put that link out there while we go into live trading, and you can book a call with Winston. So you find that button now that says apply now, or you can go to felixfrenzelog.com/win if you can't find the button. Now, why a call? Let me run through this quickly so we can get to trading. First, I want to get an honest picture of where you're at. I want to know that we can help you, because I only want people that we can actually help. So that's kind of a filter for you and me. And what you'll see in the Q&A we'll do just after the live trading in a moment is that you'll ask me a question. I'll give you an answer. Now you've got 6 new questions. And if we went through all of those, we'd still be here by Friday, right? Which would not be super efficient for your time. So it's just, it gives you an opportunity to ask all the questions, including the ones you haven't thought of yet. Now, we can only take so many calls. There are 400 people plus here on the live session, which is amazing. I love that. We can't take 400 calls. Okay. So there is one thing I ask of you. I ask that you're in a place where you want to make a change in your life, where you want to improve your life. That's all I ask. So you don't have to be committed to trading. You don't have to be committed to working with me and my guys. All I ask is that you actually want to make your life better. If that's you, brilliant, book a call. And you're going to get a lot out of this, because even if it isn't for you by the end of the call, you will have eliminated something. Most people go through life filling their head with all these ideas that they could maybe do down the road, but they never eliminate them. So their head becomes mush and they don't know which direction to turn into. The very, very important thing to do in life is eliminate choices. So if the only thing you get out of this call will be eliminating the choice and getting some free resources from us on the call, then I think already that'll be a win. So I'd encourage you to have a chat with us. So we guarantee the program, very simple. Complete money back guarantee. One requirement, that you use my risk management rules for a year. And I do that because I want you to finish the year with your money intact. Okay. So that's all you got to do. You do the whole program for the year. You do all the coaching calls, you use and abuse it. And at the end of the year, you say, Felix, I'm not happy. Just shows a screenshot. You've applied our risk management and we give you your money back. We give you an extra $50 as well, just for wasting your time. And maybe you go out and buy a book on ETFs or something, which might be better suited to you. So as I say, click that apply now button. It'll take you 20, 30 seconds to fill out the quick questions, and you can book a time and a day that suits you in your calendar, in your schedule, in your time zone. It'll show that to you. And as I say, anybody who books a call while we're still live here, and we will be for a little bit because we got to do live trading and we got to answer all your questions, we'll give you 9 months free coaching on top if you join us. If you don't, then obviously it doesn't really matter. Okay, let me also show you how much time I spend on this. People often don't believe how little time I spend on this. So this was April, right? We made $6,500 in April. This is a $30,000 portfolio, just to give you an idea. In week 1, we did here 4 trades, made $4,000. That would take what, 20 minutes? Week 2, nothing. Week 3, 1 trade, that's a stop loss. Nothing. Why? I was on a beautiful little island called Siargao in the Philippines. And I saw one of you guys tuned in. You said, hello from Siargao. So hello there. It's a lovely place. You're probably surfing, aren't you? And then I was back in week 4. I did 2 trades, 1 trade, 2 trades, 2 trades. That would take what? 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. Call it an hour, right? So what did we do that week? Less than 2 hours, right? Not a bad hourly rate. May, I was in France on holiday, enjoying beach clubs. 1 week, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I set up 1 trade here, 10 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. Week 3, 1 trade. So I must have had like a glowing idea while I was sitting in a cafe or something. And then I was back in London here in week 5. So we did a little bit more, maybe call it half an hour, an hour, something like that, 3-4 hours. Closed the month out at $4,000, right? June, similar story. Week 2 was a bit more active here. This is actually double counting trades now, this idiotic software. But anyway, we would have done maybe 3 hours that week, maybe another 2 hours the second week. Nothing that week, nothing that week. So again, 4 or 5 hours for the month, something like that, right? I'm a very lazy trader. If you did a little bit more, I think you'd do better. But yeah, I've got lots of things going on in my life, so I'm a fairly lazy trader. Now, as I say, in life you have 2 choices, right? Choose progress, which is what you're doing by being here, and you stay a step ahead, or you can wait till life forces you to make a change, which was me, 2013, right? The idiot that I was. So all I'd say to you is, don't go down the path I went down of just being reliant on one set of income, because it was incredibly stressful. I lost almost my financial stability, relationships. It was insanely, health, everything. It was just an insanely horrible period. So keep pursuing what you're doing right now, which is being curious and looking for a way to learn to become a great money manager, right? And if you had a wise guy to hold you by the hand for a few hours each week, imagine what you could do with your life. And it's not just about money, actually. I think I'm a nicer person the more money I made because I'm not stressed. So I've got time for people. I've got time for friends. I can help people. And I enjoy it and I get a kick out of it. I get satisfaction out of it. So say, have a chat with us. Ask us all your questions. Now, okay, quick question. Do you want me to go straight to live trading, or do you want me to show you inside of the community, or both? So we could do both if you like, or we could do one or the other. Just let me know in the live chat here. Ted says, are these day trades? No, we don't do day trades, Ted. We'll talk about it in a moment about trade length and so on here. We've got a bit of trade, both trading, both, please. Okay, I'll show you very, 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 very quickly. Okay, I know we want to get to trading. That's makes a lot of sense because that's the real value add here. But I also like to be transparent. You can literally ask me anything in the Q&A. Don't hold back. Okay, that's the whole point here. I will never be offended by a question. Just ask. So we've got private community here, which is completely private. Got a bunch of channels like Wins channel, for example, where people are sharing their trades here. Like Justin says, I could not be more thrilled with progress. Week 2 here, all the work that I put in came in results. Blah, blah, blah. Big wins on my position. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. This skill will bring. So just like people are being excited. Or Paco here. Only traded 3 days. Net wins $1,080 on a 50K account. Wow. Blah, blah, blah. Results will arrive, mate. So just people encouraging each other, which is nice. We then have group sessions we run every day. The show's in my time zone, so it'll be different for your time zone. We run them in all hours of the day. You can see just how many today or tomorrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions tomorrow. And you don't have to attend them all, of course. That would be ridiculous. We run them so that you can attend them when you have time. And it's nice to like get to know more of the community and more people and more of the coaches and so on. So that's why we run them every day. We also run them on Saturdays and even on Sundays, we run sessions. And then if you are just busy and you don't want to join group sessions, well, you just book a call, right? So there's a button here, book a call. So Patrick, for example, is one of our head coaches. He worked for CME, which is the largest options exchange in Chicago. And then he was an option strategist for a $13 billion hedge fund. He works now and manages the actual portfolio for a family office in New York. He trades that portfolio live for you to see, which is just crazy. He also went to Wharton, see those expensive schools. Some of these guys are support guys here. Byung Kim is another head coach. He worked at Merrill Lynch and Bear Stearns, 2 of the biggest investment banks out there. Well, Bear Stearns is no longer with us. It wasn't his fault, he says. And then he worked at the largest hedge fund in LA, 20 billion assets. He also went to Wharton and to Cornell. Super nice guy. And when I first got introduced to BK, I explained to him what our system was and our rules are. And he just looked at me and he said, that's exactly what we do. And I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, first quadrant, which is the hedge fund he was at, $20 billion hedge fund. They follow the same strategy, which is nice to see. So you get a little bit of an idea of what it looks like, and you just click a button and you can book a call with these guys. So let's go into live trading then, right? Grab some electrolytes. Absolutely full. Actually, I'm having some this morning. Your evening. So we use a software called Trade Vision. And I'd encourage you to grab a free trial account with Trade Vision. It's a platform we built. First month is completely free, and then it's like $16 or $19 or something. It's pretty inexpensive because we want to make good data available to you. And the left-hand side you've probably seen before, right? It's a stock chart of the S&P SPY. So just a squiggly stock chart. The right-hand side you probably haven't seen, and that's us showing where trades make money. Green is good. Red is bad. Okay. So let me show you what most people do. Here's how most people trade. They look at today's stock price. You get a pen. So stock price is right here, right? At $549. and they say, oh, it's going up, let's buy it. So they bet on the stock going up. And what's the likelihood they'll make money on that? It's 50%. So coin toss every single day. The likelihood of it going down is also 50%. Does that sound like good odds to you? No, right? It's pretty terrible. Slightly better than roulette, which is 47.4%, but it's still pretty terrible. So we don't do that because that's not fun. You'd lose half the time, which is a really, really hard way to make money. Chris and Robert, you're using the Trade Vision. Okay, I'm glad that's helpful. This is going to get so much better over the next couple of weeks. There's so much insane stuff coming on there. We're working on this day and night to make it better and better and better. So I'm excited that you guys are enjoying it. So what do we do instead? We move our trade below the market. So let's just assume we think the market's going to go up, right? So we move our trade below. Let me zoom in a bit more on this to make this a little bit clearer. So what have I done here? Let me just highlight this gray line here. This is our break-even line. What do I mean by that? So this is our break-even. Break-even. So note, this is the stock price. Stock price. Excuse my handwriting. And our break-even is below it, significantly below it. So what does that mean? Okay, I still think the market's going to go up. So if it goes up, I make money, and I have a 50% chance of that happening. But if it goes down just to my break-even line, guess what? I still make money. If it goes sideways, I also make money. So I can make money in actually 3 directions. And so just to establish the probabilities again here. So the likelihood of it going up is 50%. The likelihood of it going down to my break-even line is 21% in this instance. So my overall probability is now 71%. Now we could make that a little greater by moving our trade down some more. So we could move this down, another $5 or so, which would now make our probability, say, 77%, which would be a fair thing to do. So you could play it a little bit safer. But just for the simplicity's sake here, it'll become apparent in a moment why I'm doing this. We're going to just keep it here at this 71% probability. If I could spell probability, of making money. Okay. So it's really this area here that's the sweet spot. Let me just delete everything again. Just make it very clear. If the stock drops by minus 2.7%, I still make money. If the stock goes sideways and goes nowhere, I make money. If the stock goes up any amount, I make money. Okay. So the real kicker is this extra area here that I sort of call my buffer zone or my safety zone, or whatever you want to call it. Right. Now, there are a couple of rules to this, and you're super welcome to take notes, obviously, or take screenshots. The first is, hang on, it jumped out one date too many. Okay. So actually, yeah, this trade has a 74% probability now. Okay. So the first is, how long do we set up these trades? So the first thing is the length of the trade should be about 45 days. Now, we aim to exit in the first week or two, and I'll gladly walk you through the real reasons for that in the Q&A in a second. But we set up these long trades because they were a lot lower risk. Okay. And so exit in sort of 5 to 14 days. That's our exit. Can be sooner. Could be one. Can I erase that? Yeah. It could be in the first 1 to 14 days we exit. And we aim for a 75% probability. Okay. So right now, it's showing me here a 74% probability, okay, which is almost spot on. So how do we then set this up in the broker and put it all together? So let's do that together, and then I'll also show you how we set up the automations. So the broker I use is called Think or Swim. I'll show you in the Q&A like what brokers are available to use. I like this one. I like the web version of it, the browser version of Think or Swim. It's very easy to use. So we type SPY into our broker out here at the top. And then we click on something called vertical. The type of trade we're doing is called a vertical. Why is it called a vertical? God knows. But bankers need to feel a little bit smart, so they come up with a bit of terminology that's slightly nonsensical. There are a few terms you need to learn, not that many, but this is one of them. So we click on vertical, and then we got to put in here the trade that we've just set up. So the easiest way to do that is to do this. So I cheat. The date, first of all, up here is August 16th. So I changed this here to August 16th. Now, if you've got good eyesight, you will notice mine says August 17th. I'm in Hong Kong right now, so I'm 12 hours ahead of New York time. So it changes the date. And then what are we doing in terms of prices? We got 530 and we got 535. Which one are we buying? Which one are we selling? Red is a sell and green is a buy, right? So 530 and 535. So we're buying the 530. And if you've never seen this before, this is going to be a little confusing, and that's okay. Okay, well, I'll walk through it again. And are we doing calls? Calls or puts? Calls or puts? Anybody pay attention? I know I didn't really cover it. It says P for put, right? P for put. So we're doing puts. So we flip this over to puts. And then it'll show you a chart here that is sort of similar to this one, but it's flipped on the side, which is a bit weird. So you can see when I go down that the white line over here goes down on the stock chart when I go up. It's very weird that they did it like that, but that's the way they've done it. And say we're going to do, let's say we're going to do 10 contracts. So you could make them smaller, you could make them bigger. You could make this trade a $400 trade, or like I am here, you could make this a $4,000 trade. It really is up to you. It depends on your portfolio size. Okay. So it shows me I'm going to get paid upfront $677 cash. I get paid now, and I need this much money to set up the trade. Now, what's the important thing to do here is to take a screenshot of the price I'm paying. And we're going to need this number in a second to set up our automations. So I like to take screenshots of them so I remember what they are. So I'll send off the trade, and there it is. There it is. Robert, you can read my writing. You're probably the only one. And Paula, Brian, Robert, yeah, you're spot on the puts. Okay. Now, of course, you realize it is 9 p.m. New York time and the stock market is closed, right? So I set up the same trade yesterday today while the market was still open, so that we could actually run through the automation. So I'm going to just cancel what we just set up because I have the very, very same trade open for real here. Here you can see it. So it's the same setup. It shows 530, 535. Okay, and actually it made $245 since I opened it, which is not bad. So we actually want to take some profits on that. So how do we do the automations then? Okay, so there we have a little cheat sheet spreadsheet for this. Where is my cheat sheet? Here it is. Exit rules. It's a document we have inside the program. So we type in here the premium we just received, which is why I took a screenshot, 69 cents. Okay, 0.69. And then we did the prices we did were 530 and 535. And I did 10 contracts. So you could do more, you could do less. And now it tells me my stop loss should be at this 86 cent and my profits I should take at these prices. It does the whole calculation for me. I don't have to think about it. So how do we do that? We go back into the broker. We select our trade here. and we click the close button. And for the stop loss, we change the type of order. Hang on, let me just move myself to the other corner. Felix, into the corner with you. There we go. So you can, I'm not blocking the key thing here. So we change this to a stop order because that's what we want. This is like our insurance, so we don't have to keep secrets. And the price we want to set that up is the price that tells us here, so 25% loss at 86 cents. So I just type 86 cents in here. And then last, I have to change it from a day order to something called a GTC order, good till closed. And what that is, if you've ever bought a stock before, you will have submitted that into your broker. That trade was only valid for today. Every trade is only ever valid for today. So if for some reason, if it didn't get filled, the trade would disappear at the end of the day. It's the same with all of these orders, but we want our insurance order, right? Our stop loss to be there still tomorrow and the day after and the day after for as long as we have the trade open. So we need to change it to a good till close order. And then you hit the review button, you send it off, and now we have a stop order. Okay, magic, right? What do we do now? We select the original trade again, those two legs. We hit the close button, and now we're going to take our profit taking, do our profit taking. So on the first half of the trade, 62 cents is where we take profits. So we change 10 contracts into 5 because we only want to do this on the first half of the trade. We change the price to 62 cents and we leave the order type alone. But again, we make this an order that's still there tomorrow, because if we hit the profits tomorrow or the day after or the day after the profit target, we still wanted to take profits. So we don't have to do this every day. We hit the review button, send that off. Now we'll take profits at that level. What do we do now? Go back to the original trade. We hit the close button. And now we have, for the next quarter of the trade, we do that at 59 cents. So we put 59 cents in here. Now, what's a quarter of 10? It's 2.5. So it can't be done, right? So we got to do 3 or 2. I'm going to do 3. And again, make this a good till close order, hit the review button, send it off. There we go. And what do we do on the last one? Do the same thing again. Select the original trade. We hit the close button. And the first time you do this, this feels like weird and complicated. After a little while, it becomes a lot more obvious and just simple. It'll take like 2 minutes per trade. So we have the last 2 legs here. And we take profits at 52 cents. So we change that to 52. Again, it's a good till close order. Hit the review button, click send. This trade is now automated. You never need to look at it again if you don't want to. You know what the outcomes are going to be. So you could literally go on a little island like I did, sit on the beach, have no Wi-Fi reception, and you don't care, right? Because you know what the outcomes are going to be. That's automation. And that's insanely useful. Okay, so now that we've walked through that, let me pull up where we're at. Okay, yeah, let me ask you this. If we had the same amount of money, say we both have $30,000, who would make it grow faster in a year? You or me? And I'm not trying to be, braggy here. I'm just asking the question. You or me? And what's the difference between you and me? So we've both grown up in sort of Western Hemisphere. We both had half decent schooling. We both speak English. You probably better than me. It's my second language. We both have access to the same data, internet, and same brokerages with the same amount of money. What's the difference between you and me? So Tracy thinks you think I would make more money. But why? What's the reason for it? Robert says experience knowledge. Roxanne says experience. Is your first language German, Stacey? Yes. Yeah. Paula thinks I'm smart. No, that's not actually it. And experience, I also don't think it's actually that. I think it's skill. managing money and trading is a skill. And if you wanted to learn how to drive, and say you've never been in a car before, you wanted to learn how to drive, what would you do? You'd get a driving instructor, right? You wouldn't just go out on the freeway and go, let's do 1,000 miles and I'll get good at this. You'd probably kill somebody and end up in jail. But with money, somehow, most of us just do exactly that. They go on the freeway and they hope to figure it out before they die. Learning to manage your money and do these trades and these steps is a skill that anybody can learn. It's not about smart. It's not about any of that. It's just about having the skill. And once you realize that, maybe you're amazing at fixing your car engine. I suck at it. I probably wouldn't even know how to open the hood. Seriously. Not good at this. Okay. But could I learn it? Say you were a mechanic. Do you think you could teach me? Yeah, it might take a couple of weeks, maybe take a couple of months. Maybe I'm a slow learner, but I know I could learn it. It's the same with money. It's just a skill like any other. Right? So don't put money trading on this pedestal of like, you need to be really smart for it. You need to have this insane experience or something. No, you just need to know the rules. You need to have the skill. You need to know how it works. That's as simple as that. So if I look at some of the guys who WhatsApp with me regularly and from our community, Neil, for example, here, he worked himself to death. And he said, working with your coaches is changing my life beyond recognition. And I've now got the time to develop the relationship I want with my dogs and also, guess, with my wife. Love the priority. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. That could be you. So think about the last time you invested in yourself. Was it the driving instructor? Was it the personal trainer? Was it the sleep coach? And were those things as important as financial freedom? That's really what I'm saying here. So have a chat with us while we'll do the Q&A. And I'll answer all of your questions to the best of my abilities. Head over to felixfriends.org/win or click that book a call button and have a chat. That's all it is. Ask the questions. So I put a couple of things before we get into your questions here that I think everybody needs to know. And that is, first of all, what broker do we use? So you need a simulated broker, which means they allow you to trade with fictitious money, but it's insanely accurate. If you are in the United States, I think Thinkorswim is your best option, which is now part of Schwab. But if you go to thinkorswim.com, you can sign up. It's free. Webull is also decent. Thinkorswim, I think, is a little easier. If you are anywhere else in the world, and that is Canadians and Europeans, and if you're in the Middle East or in Asia or anywhere else, Interactive Brokers is where you're going to want to go. Australians, all of you are Interactive Brokers, the rest of the world. We obviously teach how to use those brokers as well. The second question I always get is tax. If you are in the US, Roth IRAs are amazing. You can use our entire strategy. You can do our entire strategy inside a Roth IRA, which then is tax-free. And you can balloon your Roth IRA to whatever amount you want. If you're anywhere else in the world, there are options. Some of our Germans use GmbHs. Aussies often use limited companies. There are some things you can do, but if you're in America, Roth IRAs is kind of the sweet spot here. And I see some of you guys asking about commissions here. Roxanne, it was you, right? So yes, you're right, Roxanne. Most brokers will charge you 65 cents per contract to open and close. So for 4 contracts, that is 8 times 65 cents, that's $5.20. It's not significant unless you have a particularly tiny portfolio. You can negotiate those fees down. It's also something we teach. Seriously, you can. And there are also some brokers, once you go live trading, cash trading, that have slightly better setups. But it's not really a factor. Like, I don't really care about the fees. It doesn't really impact my results. Now, my email is also on here. If you, by the end of this, for some reason, I missed your question and didn't get there, then do please email me. Although you're going to get an answer back, and you're going to have 5 more questions. So it's probably much better you actually just hop on a call with us and go to, as I say, up here, felixfriends.org/win, or click that button. Okay, so let's run through some of the questions here. Robert, how do you change a trade when it's going against you? Okay, Okay, you asked for this is a little bit more complicated. This is called adjustments. And let me show you an example. Okay, so it's a very, very cool, powerful thing we can do here. If we go back to this original trade, the risk on this original trade was, so the risk here was $430. Okay, which is the loss zone here. So say that the stock's starting to come down and you're worried you're going to get hit with that $430. You don't want to exit at 25% loss. What do you do? Well, we adjust the trade by putting a trade on the other side. And if you're completely new to this, forgive me for a moment while I run you through something a little bit more advanced. Because blame Robert. So we might do something like this. What have I done? I've literally put a trade on the other side, which means, yeah, if we rally a lot, we'd lose money. But the real benefit of this is that, let me get a red pen, my maximum loss, so my new risk is now no longer 430, but my new risk is now, what's it say? $141. Because my loss area has shrunk. So I can literally take my old risk and replace that with a lower risk. And you might be thinking, well, but what if the stock goes back up? Then we lose money, right? Yeah, but you're never going to lose money on both sides at the same time. So you didn't add any risk. You've just made sure that the worst case outcome is much better than it would have otherwise been. So we can do some funky stuff like that. That's a little bit more advanced, but of course it's something that we teach. Thanks, Robert. How do these trades work when the market crashes? Says Robert. Okay, you're in full risk mode. I like it. Markets don't crash in a day. Markets crash over weeks. And what do? Well, you simply turn bearish. So say, we set up a bullish trade here, right? Just say we are here. We're setting up bearish trades, right? Bearish trades. And then as the market goes back up, we start setting up bullish trades. And we always do them below the market. So we have that buffer zone. And we aim to just be permanently above and below the market and sort of not care really which way it's heading. That's basically the structure. Okay, let me just go to the top here so we don't miss the early questions and we run through all the rest. Okay, let me just see. Can I use Robinhood Roth IRA? Yes, you can. I mean, obviously, you got to check with them. I'm not Robinhood, but should be able to. All the Roth IRAs I've ever encountered allow you to do this. Jeswant wants a recording of this. I gladly send that to you, Jeswant. My pleasure. Are there more tutorials on how to use Trade Vision, Joe? Yes. There is actually a whole YouTube channel on it. We are just rejigging the sort of help and learning pages of that. But yeah, absolutely. There are videos. There are also lots more to come. But yeah, if you check on the, let me show you. There's a help page here. If you click on that, there are some videos here. There's a link to the YouTube channel at the top. This page is going to get better over the next couple of weeks or so. But yeah, there are plenty of videos on the YouTube channel that walk through every single function. And we do, of course, also teach it. Can I get a copy, says Devin? Yep, gladly. What brokerages do you use? Okay, we've covered that, which is great. Ashok is worried he's missed an opportunity. My friend, there are a million trading opportunities every single day. You never miss out. And that's one of the reasons I also like trading. I don't have FOMO. It doesn't matter if I don't trade today or this week or I missed on some great run. It doesn't matter. We can just make new trades every day. There is always opportunities. Picking direction seems easy, but not news events change. How do you pick what trade, says Robert? Okay, so this goes back a little bit to like direction. And we use a couple of things here in terms of indicators while this reloads. Let me just zoom out a little bit here again, so you can see it. So one thing we've got built into Trade Vision, something we call the trend indicator, gives you a color-coded backdrop to where we are at, which is pretty freaking accurate. Like, it turned properly bearish here. We had that rally down. Turned green here. We had a nice run up. Went a little bit dodgy here, so we had that run down and so on. And right now it's basically saying it's going a little bit more sideways. So it's very, very accurate. Of course, no single indicator is going to make you money. What actually makes you money is risk management. That's really what makes you money. It's your exits, right? So the mistake people make is say they have this, it turns green here, they enjoy the rally up, but they don't bloody exit, right? So they wait and then they go down and then they're miserable. So when you are going in here with our exit rules, we probably would exit here. We would have just taken some profits right here, right? We might then do it again. And then we take, we exit again here and we take more profits. We do it again, more profits and so on. And that way we've now accumulated this nice big pile of profits. So when it then goes a little bit sideways and maybe we lose a little bit of money on a trade here, we don't really care. We then see the trend down and we're making money again. We're making money again. So it's really about taking those early exits. That's really what makes people money. It's the consistency, and you only achieve that through automation. Eric is asking, what should be the max loss? 25% of max loss? Yes, that's basically the exit rule I've got here. Eric, when you get more advanced, do you still follow the 25%? Okay, I love all you guys with all the advanced questions. So what we can do is change it into a trailing stop loss. So you can do a trailing stop loss. So how would that work? Okay, so say we go back to the chart here and okay, so say you entered a trade here, right? So you start there and the trade is going up and up and up and up. Normally you would exit here, say, for your 10 or 20% profit. But you don't want to do that because you think it's going to continue to run up. So what do? Well, you take off the stop loss and you set up something called a trailing stop loss. So the trailing stop loss works in this way, that you set it 10% where you are below right now. So maybe your trailing stop loss, I'm going to call it TSL in yellow here, would be there. And then the market goes higher and higher. So it keeps moving up. The trading stop loss moves up with the market. And then as the market comes down, eventually it gets triggered, say here. So what you've achieved is you got this extra profit area here, basically, by allowing it to run up a little bit higher. And then when it dropped a little, it automatically kicked you out of the trade. So that's a way we can do that, which is a little bit more sophisticated, but the idea is very much the same. How many contracts do you have on at a time on SPY? So you probably have 15 trades open on SPY at any given time, which seems mad, but there are at different positions. They might be bullish and bearish. They might be at different expiration dates at different price points. Michelle, okay, adjustments. I think we just covered that, but thank you. And Devin, I think we also just covered that. You could change it to a trading stop loss, your question there. David, okay, at the moment, Trade Vision covers US listed stocks. Why? It's the most liquid market in the world. It's the biggest stock market in the world. Even if you were in Europe, I would personally trade US stocks. It's where the money is at. It's where the biggest pension funds are. It's where the most demand is for stocks. You could do exactly what I'm just teaching here today on European stocks. European options work pretty much exactly the same. It's just you're going to find a lot less liquidity. There are a lot less stocks you could trade. So I would simply trade SPY. Literally, if you're on Ireland, same thing. Makes no real difference. What times of the day, night are the sessions, Michelle? So we've got team in West Coast, East Coast, US. So a lot of them will be obviously in US time zone. We have team in Europe and Asia. So we cover the whole world pretty much in terms of sessions. So you will always have sessions that are available when you are available, including the weekend. Simon is asking, what are the $0 trades? Okay, that's me setting up a trade. It's just setting up a trade and nothing. That's it. So I only record wins once I've exited the trade, not during, because it's unrealized. It's it's hot air. It doesn't really matter. Simon, does your program alert us when we trade shouldn't be executed? So we send from Trade Vision. I'll put the link again in the description here. We send a daily email of trends, so stocks that I've just flipped essentially, and I think that's very useful because we scan about 2,500 stocks every day for that change in indicator. So you wanted to know here, right, that we're going from red to green. You want to know that because that would have been a good time to set up the trade. If you find that out 5 days later, it's no longer that useful. So we send an email on that every day. Kevin, how many coaches are there? There's about a handful of us, something like that. Okay, Chris, I think we've covered the automations. Thank you for that. Do you have this again so we can rewatch it, Kevin? I gladly send you a recording. Fernando, if a stop loss gets triggered, your take profit orders, they will just die. Basically, nothing will happen to them. And Amy, yes, you're correct on that. Stop orders for the loss, but limit orders when taking profits. Yes. Bill, I think we covered up the stop loss. On Schwab, there's a fee. Yeah. I think we just covered that. Do you do only plain vanilla puts, says Carl? Very rarely. And I'll show you why. So if you just buy a put option, right? What's your likelihood of making money? You see that there? 37% is the probability that you'll make money on that trade. Which doesn't mean you can't make money with it, but it's just very hard for most of our mindsets to lose, win big. Lose, win big. For most of us, that's really hard. It's really disheartening. Plus, we can also run out of capital, right? Now, if you have a gazillion dollars, maybe that's a decent strategy. But generally, it is much, much easier on the mindset to make high probability trades where you are going to win, 75% of them, like what we just set up, right? So where you're winning the vast, vast majority of your trades so that you have, I don't know, 70-something% chance of profit. So that's why I generally don't do buy a call or buy a put. There are some scenarios where you might want to, but generally I wouldn't. Does E-Trade support this type of trading, Cyril? Yes. Yes, it does. How to get that spreadsheet, Landon? It's inside the program, my friend. Have a chat with us. Okay, thinking for time. Rafael, if you don't fully understand this, that's cool. Just watch it back again, go over it again, and you will learn it by repetition. And you can go away, you can get yourself if you want to learn on your own, Thinkorswim or Interactive Brokers paper trading account and just start playing with it. Start playing with it like a sandbox. And it doesn't matter because it's simulated money, but you learn by screwing up in the simulator. That's how you learn. Joel, yeah, for Trade Vision, use a bigger screen at the moment. We have a team working on an app, but at the moment it's not really optimized for small screens. So use a bit of a bigger screen. And why? Because there's a lot of information on the screen here. It's a little challenging to get it on a mobile. We're working on it, but for the moment, use a bigger screen. Robert, I'll gladly send you that as well. Carl as well. Okay, how much to trade on Interactive Brokers? Can't trade options after open account, Brent. Yeah, you need to apply for options permission. Again, we can help you with that. I've never had a single person not get approved, so we can definitely help you out with that. Travis, my pleasure. Okay, James, appreciate that as well. What do you think of the wheel strategy, says Carl? So the wheel strategy is sort of selling covered calls. It's a great place to learn, but you need a lot of capital to own the underlying stock, and you are limited to trading the stock that you own, right? Which isn't really super ideal. It uses up too much capital, therefore your returns are typically lower. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's a great thing to learn if you want to start out. But I think there are better strategies. Basically, you're never going to find a bank or a hedge fund that does the wheel strategy. And I think that gives you some indication that it's a little suboptimal. Okay. Robert, you don't want to lose money to infinity. Well, that's the exact point of the stop loss, right? That you know what the worst case outcome is going to be. That's the exact point. Okay. Learning by screwing up paper trade. Exactly. That's the way you learn. Okay. Fernando, the scenario you run through there, it's just not going to happen. SPY is so liquid, you're always going to get executed on your trades. Robert, do we have moving averages? Yes. You can actually toggle them on if you want, 20-day, 50-day, 150-day, 200-day if you must. Although our trend indicator, of course, also looks at moving averages. When will the trade profit tracker be coming out, Richard? We're working on it. Okay, we're working on it. Can you send me a copy? Absolutely. We'll gladly do that. And if I missed any of your questions, folks, best thing is have a chat with us. Ultimately, I think the real question is like, what's time and location freedom worth to you, right? The thing I hated most about corporate jobs was having to beg and grovel for vacation time. Really, really felt that was kind of, it just didn't feel right. It just doesn't feel good, does it? Why do I have to ask permission to spend the day the way I want to spend it? So if you want absolute control of your life and all the decisions you make, you need financial freedom and you need an extra income stream. And ultimately, the question comes down to where we started today, right? Do you want the 1,500 days of freedom that your employer grants you, or do you want the full 17,000 day that is the glorious life that you're meant to be living? So you can spend every day the way you want to. So that's really all I'm asking. So if you are leaning towards, I want full control of my life, book a call with us, have a chat with us, ask us all the difficult questions, and you will walk away with more clarity. And at the worst case scenario, you will have eliminated something, which means your mind is now going to hone on the next thing that will be right for you. And therefore, you will have actually made some real progress here today. So head over to felixfriends.org/win as the apply now button is going to disappear in a second. And I'll leave you with a few words from my students, who I think say it better than I can. I love you for watching. I love that you have a mindset where you want to get better. That's tremendous. That puts you in the top 1% of the world. So keep pursuing that. And I'll leave you with a few words from my guys.
I went live about a quarter ago, and consistently my returns have been 5 to 10% per month.
I'm up 4% with my portfolio for the first 3 weeks of trading options.
This course really changed my life. This will be one of the best investments you will make throughout your life.
I'm very happy with this program and it opens a whole lot of new opportunities.
And this really helped me understand how option trading works, and I started paper trading successfully for a couple of months.
It's been a bit of a life-changing and game-changing experience for me in going through this investing and options world here.
The community is great because it's a community of like-minded people, traders, who are on the same journey, who have the same questions, who have a diverse set of experiences, and who are located all around the world. So all of that different experience put together with the wealth of knowledge and the depth of experience of all the coaches and mentors makes it a fantastic program. I really enjoyed it.
Felix is different. He's a great guy. He's always there for you. You can talk about anything with him. For example, I talked about real estate property. It doesn't have to be only options and shares.
Very pleased with Felix. He's a great teacher. He cares about his students.
Felix and his team have completely tailored my mentorship to suit my time. It has not been a problem whatsoever. The support that they give you is just something that I've never experienced before. If you are considering joining this mentorship, please do. You will not regret it. It is incredible. I'm so glad that I am a part of it.
It's amazing. I really understand, I can easily understand all the concepts, strategies, the ideas behind. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you financial success. Thank you, everybody. Ciao, ciao.